I didn't do anything. I know Malaya didn't do anything. I know my mother didn't do anything. Those are 3 people on the property.
To me is just how baffling of a mystery it is, and how no possible theory or explanation seems to make sense. Like there are many theories being floated around and many ideas people are sharing and discussing, but in my experience, and I've done this, if you follow any of them for any length of time, you hit a brick wall where you just say, like, that doesn't make sense. But all that to say, there are 2 children missing and something happened.
Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to the channel. I'm Cheryl and this is True Crime and Other Stuff. Thanks for being here. On my channel, I like to bring you well-researched information and discussions on topics like true crime, the missing, current events, or anything I find interesting or important. Today, we are looking into the case that has gripped Nova Scotia for over a year. Yesterday, May 2nd, 2025, Jack Sullivan, 4, and Lilly Sullivan, 6, disappeared. They disappeared from their home in Lansdowne Station, and despite the massive search, we are still looking for answers. Okay, on May 1st, 2025 was the last public sighting of the siblings at the Dollarama. And then on May 2nd, 2025, they were reported missing from their family's home on Garlic Road. Thousands of surveillance footage were reviewed and over 1,000 tips have been processed. One of the most baffling aspects of this case is the lack of physical evidence. We know the RCMP have explored every possibility, from wandering into the dense woods to a potential for foul play, though they have stated that there is no direct evidence of an abduction. There's 2 specific items that have been the center of the investigation. One was a boot print found on a nearby pipeline trail consistent with Lily's size, and then 2, the pink blanket. This is a strange one. A light pink blanket belonging to Lilly was found tangled in a tree on the first day of the search. But courtroom documents suggest that the mother had recently thrown that blanket away because it was being used to block a draft. How it ended up in a tree is a question that still haunts this case. Just this past March, the RCMP conducted a second round of polygraph tests specifically focusing on that blanket. Yesterday, on the anniversary of Rally for Justice, was held in Stellarton. The children's paternal grandmother, Belinda Gray, spoke about the agony
It's
of
been
having
1 year,
no answers.
and community members here in Stellarton are still wondering what happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Family, friends, and members of the public rallied outside their local RCMP detachment on Saturday.
We're here to mark 1 year of not having answers. 1 year of there's still so many questions.
Lilly and Jack were 6 and 4 years old when they were first reported missing from their home in Lansdowne Station on May 2nd, 2025.
There is currently a $150,000 reward for information. It is unprecedented for 2 children to vanish so completely in an area that has been searched this thoroughly. Was it a tragic accident in the dense brush, or is there something we aren't being told? I strive to bring you well-researched information, but please remember that my content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. I gather information from various sources, and while I aim for accuracy, I always encourage you to conduct your own independent research and verify any facts or claims presented. What do you think happened to Jack and Lilly? Let's discuss it respectfully in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
And Jack. are two beautiful children that should be running around right now. They should be playing right now.
The rally
Radio. So year-long investigation now, still not much information. Do you feel there are people out there that might be able to give you information that can lead you somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. We really would like the public to consider, if they do have any information, real factual-based information, to please contact us at the numbers provided. We seek anything we can find so that we can follow up and find new leads, new avenues to find information.
Jacob Moore with Acadian Broadcasting. What sort of level of new information or new discovery do you need for this to potentially move from a missing persons case to something else, potentially something criminal or suspicious?
Sure. It's hard to really put a label on what exactly we need, as you can imagine. But we just need facts and evidence that support criminality. And once we have that, we make all of our decisions based on the evidence that we collect. Once we have that evidence, then we'll move forward in those areas if that's appropriate.
In your news release this morning, you talked about wanting to have more fact-based tips from the public. Can you tell us what you meant by that, and I have a follow-up?
Sure. I mean, everybody is exposed to social media throughout their daily lives, and sometimes social media can get fairly speculative and sometimes not necessarily based in truth or fact. The information we need isn't necessarily speculation or thoughts or theories. We'd like information that actually points us in a direction to try and find out things that have taken place. So I just find sometimes social media can be a little bit murky. So
on social media, can you talk to us about how, when tips come from that kind of a source, or people are relating tips that they've heard on social media, how the impact that has on the investigation? Because I understand you have to chase those down anyway.
Well, obviously, when we investigate something, we try and gather every piece of information we possibly can about the situation. So when we get a tip, a speculative tip, then we're required, we're duty-bound to follow down all leads to either corroborate or uncorroborate that particular tip. So when we get things that really are, very speculative, it creates work for us that, of course, takes away from maybe better areas that we could focus on sometimes. So it just helps for us in our stuff. People consider, is this something that is factual, something the police can find more information on? So does that answer your question? Okay.
What does approaching the 1 year mean for the investigation? What does approaching the 1 year mark mean for the investigation? Does it change any of the results of maybe even getting closer to finding the kids?
Well, we've taken, it's of course been a long investigation, so over the last number of months we've gone through a lot of the information we have, and of course we're new leads, but I guess this investigation was always going to take time. There's been a lot of tips, a lot of interviews, and a lot of video that we've had to review, and of course other avenues of different areas where we want to collect and things. So it takes a long time to go through all that and do it, but that's where the investigation stands.
Ali Bowes, the Chronicle Herald. You mentioned the amount of content you guys have had to go through, and I know there's been this kind of rise of AI-generated content. Could you kind of speak a bit more on that and how it's affected the investigation?
Well, obviously, whenever you collect any electronic data, you have to make sure that there's integrity related to that data. So, of course, that creates extra steps. But we have the capabilities in the RCMP to deal with those things. So, yeah.
Jehan Moreno with Radio Canada. I'll ask my question in English, but if it could be answered in French. And my colleague already asked, what are we approaching with the 1 year? You said there's nothing new, but what are you hoping to see next, I guess?
We're going to continue to gather whatever information is out there, take any tips from the public and follow up on those, and we'll make our investigative decisions based on those facts.
I can provide that in French if you want, Rob. Alors, en français, vraiment avec l'année qui s'est poursuivie, l'enquête se poursuit. Nos enquêteurs suivent tous les renseignements. On poursuit l'enquête qui va continuer à se poursuivre jusqu'à temps qu'on trouve qu'est-ce qui est arrivé aux enfants.
Are there particular challenges, like some colleagues talked about, like AI content, social media? Are there specific challenges in your investigation right now that you're facing that maybe weren't there at the beginning?
I can't speak to a specific challenge. I think it's more of a general comment about social media and AI impacts on policing, right? So it's just things that we have to consider nowadays. So.
Est-ce que vous pourriez juste dire l'effet de l'intelligence artificielle?
Oui, absolument. En ce qui concerne l'intelligence artificielle, c'est certain que nous, on enquête les faits. On a des enquêteurs, des ressources spécialisées vraiment pour filtrer ça, pour aller de l'avant. C'est certain qu'on demande aux gens qui ont des faits de venir de l'avant contacter les policiers.
To the outside world, seeing this press release today, many people might assume the case is at a standstill, that the investigation is at a standstill. What can you say to tell the public or convince the public that what you're doing, that you're making progress, if you're making progress at all over these last 6 months or so?
Ever since this began, the RCMP has been actively engaged in pursuing the answers as to what happened with Jack and Lily. This is a critical question for our community. When 2 young children go missing and we have no answers. So we've not let up the steam, and we won't. Our investigators, our parents, as I've said before, we're families, and we want answers as much as everybody else. We haven't stopped and we won't. We've engaged units from across Canada. We continue to engage those units to support us where needed. We've brought in specialized services for any area that's required, whether it be testing or looking at our social media for AI or whatever other specialized areas, human remains detection dogs. And we won't stop. If we see something we can leverage that'll help us find answers, we'll take that.
But are you any closer to knowing what happened to the kids? When I spoke with you back in December, you said we're forming pictures of what may have happened, but we still don't know. There's still no evidence of abduction or foul play or anything for anyone to go on.
Yeah, we continue to gather information to develop that picture, and we have to review all the information that comes in when we make decisions. Of course, there is an active investigation. I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but we are pursuing all avenues available to us.
Angela Capobianco, I'm with Global News Halifax. Apologies if this was asked already, but I know the press release says fact-based tips.
Yes.
What exactly are you looking for when it means fact-based?
Well, something that can be corroborated, something that's less than rumor or, this person said, that person said, something that we can find facts to follow up on to show whether things are true or false. Things like that. Perhaps there's evidence or hard, tangible evidence of some kind. Maybe I'm just tossing out possibilities, but something that we're able to work with to find something out, not necessarily just some random theory that we have to piece through. So does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. And I know that there is volunteer search this weekend. Does RCMP have any plans of doing another search of Lansdowne Station at this time?
We don't have any plans at this time. We appreciate the efforts from the different groups that are trying to support our community with locating these 2 missing children, and we've been in contact with them. So, it's good to see communities step up, but we don't have anything planned at this time.
Sorry. Go ahead. Hey, Rob, it's Paul. Apologies for
Yes.
CTV. Reading the release, 106 interviews, polygraphs. I think this was reported in the fall, but I'll re-ask just
Sure.
in the setting. The polygraph, family members, community members, can you use a bit of specificity or just a general
Sure.
sense of the polygraph?
Generally, we've interviewed different people related to the circumstances here. I'm not going to get into specifics of it, but there's been a few different polygraphs done, and that's, of course, a tool that we use as part of our investigation. So, not just family, but there's been different people polygraphed. So,
My follow-up would be just the investigation in general, the pressure on the province. I spoke with a criminologist from St. Thomas University, and he said in a case like this, it's hard on the family, it's hard on the community, it's hard on the investigators. Can you just offer a comment on how pressurized an investigation this is? Because there's obviously a lot of emotion injected into it because of these 2 young children.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've mentioned this a couple of times. Our investigators feel the pressure. And they put it on themselves. As much as everybody is pressuring us, we pressure ourselves almost doubly as much as that. So, but they're committed to finding answers. Everybody wants answers to this, to what's happened here, and we'll continue to follow all avenues that are available to us until we have those answers.